The first time I kicked out a player from a session. A couple years ago, after a long D&D drought, I opened a public game at my FLGS, a pirate survival island adventure game. There were a couple problem players, but no one like Sam. "No evil characters," I said. "All right," everyone agreed. Everyone was seated at the table in the back of the game store. Excited faces eager to play looked at me to begin. This is how Session 1 began. Sam was playing a female Droven rogue. "You're on a ship," I said. "It's storming. Captain Jensen." "You know that's not how that works, right?" asks Sam. "What?" I said. "You can't have a captain who's an ensign." "Jensen! Jensen!" I said. Sam looked at me with something like contempt. We continued. "Captain Jensen is yelling at you all over the crash of the waves and pelt of the rain that this is no ordinary storm. If you lubbers have a drop of salt in your veins, your help might mean the difference between life and death." As he speaks, the sea begins to swell off the starboard side. A glistening form arises. Sam interrupted, rolling his eyes and letting out a groan. "A kraken? Seriously? Seriously?" I glare. Yes, a glistening octopus-like creature, half as big as the ship, rises from the depths and lashes the ship's deck with its taloned tentacles. The players leap to defend the ship, except for Sam. "I'm not getting paid for this. This is the sailor's job," he says. I inform Sam that his character is aware that her involvement in the battle is a matter of her own survival. He finally gives in, firing a hand crossbow at tentacles that are not engaged by allies, never triggering the rogue's sneak attack dice, and getting pissed off that he's never doing anything impactful. The rest of the party attacks the Kraken with the ship's crew desperately trying to defend the ship against the onslaught of tentacles. It lashes out, tearing boards from the ship's hull. It trumpets out a high-pitched scream, as it knows it will soon be devouring its prey. Sam fires off a shot from his hand crossbow, lazily rolling his dice in his eyes. The ship begins to list heavily to the starboard side. The party focuses on the largest tentacles wrapped around the ship, managing to sever one of them. The Kraken screams again, but this time in agony. Slick, oily blood pours out of the severed tentacle, and the Kraken retreats beneath the waves. But the ship is beyond repair and eventually wrecks. The players manage to swim to shore, soaking wet but still alive. They spend the next few days interacting with the nearby prison colony, during which time I discovered Sam's character was in fact chaotic evil and had no background. "What's the point of a background?" Sam asked. "I don't need one." I informed him it gave his character several of her skills, as well as being, the way a character hooks into the game world. "Whatever," he said. If this had been a private game, I might have kicked Sam out right there. Had this been a public game I had run today, I certainly would have kicked him out then. But this was a public game intended for me to get to know players new to me, so I could invite the good ones to a later private game, and I had never kicked someone out before, so I foolishly let Sam continue playing. Sam later tried to steal the MacGuffin from an NPC, failing to beat the perception rolls of literally the entire party, who were staring at it at the time, and became further pissed off at his inability to do anything. He kept doing things like that throughout the next 3 sessions, selfish things that ignored how the rules actually worked, and just assuming he would succeed at anything his character attempted. He eventually became bored with playing the game in general, and would take to walking over to the magic players when it wasn't his turn in combat. He seemed to think it inconceivable that enemies would attack his character while he wasn't at the table, and yelled at the cleric for not healing wording his character every time she dropped, as a result of being a frontline assassin rogue. The final straw came when the party entered the final room of a dungeon, finding the mummified corpse of a gigantic vampire bat god, tied down with golden chains. The party knew by this point that it was imperative they keep the god contained, but that if they solved the puzzle of the room, they could extract the treasure it was guarding without breaking the chains. After a couple of minutes of the party engaging the puzzle, Sam's character grabbed a magical sacrificial knife and deliberately severed the linchpin of the trap, freeing the god. A mad escape dash out of a collapsing temple later, Sam's character looked up at the mummy bat god flying through the sky and asked if the god would give him any prize for freeing it. When I said no, Sam became incensed and left the table to watch the magic players for the rest of the session. As soon as Sam left, the party decided they would fight the vampire bat god and hopefully redeem themselves from having been associated with freeing it in the first place. I decided that since it had been imprisoned for so long, that it was still weak and slowly regaining its strength. The party needed a win, and honestly, so did I. They rolled exceptionally well for initiative, and began to pelt the gigantic vampire bat with arrows, which weren't doing a whole lot except for make it mad. It flew around in a wide arc and dove downward, picking up speed. The party's barbarian planted his feet and spread his arms wide, standing directly in the bat's path. "I'm going to grapple it." All right, it's gonna be a natural 20. The vampire bat opened its mouth wide, ready to swallow the barbarian whole. Massive fangs gleamed in the sunlight. It slammed into the barbarian, driving him backward through the sand, but he kept his feet beneath him. He grabbed the bat by the two massive fangs and used the bat's own momentum against it. He twisted, slamming the bat into the sand. The party descended on the bat god like a swarm of ants that had managed to take down a wasp. They chopped it into dust and took its fangs as a trophy. The party cheered and laughed. This was the first time during the session that everyone seemed to be having a genuinely good time. Sam glanced over from the card tables and came back as everyone was packing their things. I asked him if he was planning on coming back to the game the next session. He said yes. I asked him not to come back. As Sam was my roommate, it was an awkward drive home. I don't think it's fair to tell this story without a little backstory. Sam has about 10 years D&D seniority on me. Back in the day, he and a bunch of other local jerks played some incredibly adversarial D&D, where the DM tried his best to slaughter the players, and the players did their best to tweak, twist, and warp the fabric of the rules to beat him back. I didn't know this until after this whole incident, and heard it all from another of the players in his old group. But apparently, back in the 3.5 days, that's just how they played the game. Sam and I effectively had different expectations out of the game, and at that point I wasn't using session zeros. In addition to this, Sam was at this point trying to balance working second shift while having a social life during the day. This isn't an excuse, but this also wasn't how Sam acted as a matter of course. When I confronted Sam about his behavior in game and asked him to leave, he said it hurt a lot, but he didn't blow up or have a fit of rage. He said he was sorry, and to my surprise didn't ask to be allowed back in the game, but asked for another chance to prove he could be a good player in the future. I said sure. We haven't played D&D together since, and we're not roommates anymore, but Sam and I are still friends. He's a selfless and honest person, and I love watching anime and going on hikes and stuff with him, but I know better now than to play competitive games with him. Did Sam deserve to be kicked out? Do I hear a yes or a hell yes? Regardless, his backstory does explain some things, if not justify them. Have you ever had a player like Sam in your party? How did you and the group handle it? Please let us know and comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel All Things D&D. Our next video will be posted in 3 days, so stay tuned for more amazing Dungeons & Dragons content.